putting an end to identity politics. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
And here's where I see this whole thing going right now. We're going to watch this play out with famous men. It's happened in lots of places. Lots of them are talked about. And this is a moment in America as I see it. And the question is whether this is a moment that's a big flash and then nothing really changes. Nobody feels like they have to answer. Or is this a moment when there's real change? And I'll tell you how I think we're going to know whether or not it's a moment when there's real change. It's going to be when there's accountability for famous people, but it's more going to be when the shift manager decides that maybe giving the good shifts only to women who will play sex games back in the dressing room is not a good idea. And when the jerk over in accounting decides that pressing up against women who are caught at the photocopying machine might not be smart. And when the boss decides that telling those dirty jokes and talking about who's got great boobs and a killer ass is better rethink his management strategy. When that sort of thing happens for women all across this country, then we'll know there's been real change.
That would be nice.
That would be nice.
That would be nice. So if we got to go here in a second very quickly. I know it's a big question. If Roy Moore wins, should the Senate expel him?
We're not there yet.
Where are we?
We're still pre-election. And I think we have a really good candidate on the Democratic side. And the people of Alabama need to get out there, and I hope they support that Democratic candidate.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. What a ringing endorsement for that Democratic candidate. She's on nationwide TV, Elizabeth Warren, on Colbert Show, which gets, like 50 people to watches it? And she can't remember the Democrat candidate's name. Oh, my goodness. And that other stuff, the shift manager, and what Elizabeth Warren wants people to believe is that the world is run by men, and all these men are lecherous. Their goal isn't capitalism. Their goal is to take advantage of women in the workplace. And let me put it to you this way. If you were to put all men in the workplace and the shift manager was on there, he's going to show favoritism, nepotism, whatever. He's going to say, I really like Kevin. I'm going to give Kevin the better shift. You want to know why? Because I'm going to be funny and I'm going to be a joy to work with. Man, Kev's cool. I want him around. So I'm going to give him the best shift. And so maybe my personality is the reason why I get the best shift. Should now we legislate against personality? to have these people believe if a guy goes, I like this person, I like seeing, maybe somebody's pretty. Look, we have our biases. I'm not telling you that it's necessarily right. Maybe somebody is just a stellar worker. And so he gives a shift to somebody because he goes, you know what, that dude works hard. Are we going to penalize hard work? Look, I'm not trying to downplay the idea that somebody says, I'm going to put this person in, give this person a better shift because they, for whatever reason, because the only side of that, what Elizabeth Warren and everybody wants you to believe is that these decisions are being made based on somebody deciding, she'll put out. Well, I'm going to tell you, I've been given preferential treatment in things, and it wasn't because I put out. It was because somebody liked being around me. Maybe they said maybe it was because the people in that particular crew had a better camaraderie. Why does a basketball team say change go from this player to player number 7? Because they want to change the chemistry of the team. Everything's not about sexuality. See, the left want us to believe that all we do is think with our loins. Well, maybe that's the way they are. See, what I try to explain to you guys is that when you're hearing these people talk, don't think that it's because of you. It's them, and they're looking at everything that they think. They are telling you their vices. They're telling you their nightmares, their crazy dreams. They're explaining to you how they think. When I'll put it to you this way. I run a company, and I don't think, wow, that Kirk's a heavy set, we call him vanilla wafer, but Kirk's a heavy set brother. He's a white dude, but he's my brother in Christ. But Kirk, I'm not going to give Kirk preferential treatment because I want him. You know what I'm saying? It's because the dude works hard. I've got Chris. We got a lot of Chris's in the company. Chris Allen, one of my graphics guys, my video guys. Chris isn't going to get preferential treatment because I want to get with him. You know what I mean? It's because he works hard. And I could go on. I look at what is the best way for us to do our job most effectively, and that's how I make decisions about who's going to do what. These people, the left, I'm telling you, they are crazy. But anyway, I was talking about how they view what's going on in this whole sort of battle, if you will, of it's man against woman, because the left, they see this as an opportunity for women to dominate. And as I said, if you take this to its logical conclusion, there will be no men left in power. That's what feminism is about. But I also want to play something because you're hearing these people say the same thing. Gillibrand gets asked about Hillary Clinton. By the way, she backs off the statement, and I think they had a conversation about Franken. But I want to play this clip, and I think you'll hear some of the same conversation that even Elizabeth Warren. I've heard about 4 politicos who are all women say essentially the same talking points when it comes to Franken. But here's Gillibrand.
You mentioned that we're in a moment that this has sort of changed. The context has changed over the last 20 years. You told the New York Times that Bill Clinton should have resigned over the Lewinsky affair. My point is that the tolerance that we had 25 years ago, what was allowed 25 years ago, it will not be tolerated today, is not allowed today, and that we have to have the kind of oversight and accountability that society needs so that we can protect people in the workplace, that people can function without having an unsafe work environment, whether it's in the military. So you're saying President Clinton created an unsafe work environment in the White House? No, I'm saying that this conversation we are having today is really important, and that the kind of behavior that was tolerated a long time ago would never be tolerated today, and we can't allow it to be tolerated today. That in fact, all of us needs to recognize none of us are above this, and all of us have to be responsible for how we create a workplace in our own office, for my office, how we do our oversight in Congress with providing better oversight over the military, which is our job, with Title IX on college campuses. So we have to do our job. We are all responsible, and we all have to understand that time has changed, and we have to hold people. And elected leaders should not be held to the lowest standard. They should be held to the highest standard.
Welcome back, everybody. Senator Gillibrand, who said Bill Clinton should have resigned, and now she's saying what was tolerated then shouldn't be tolerated now. Let me tell you something, Senator Gillibrand. Tolerating molesting of young interns when you're president of the United States, that shouldn't be tolerated then or now. But what Bill Clinton did to Kathleen Willey in the White House shouldn't be tolerated then or now. What's funny, she was right, and somebody got to her and said, "You can't go out there and say this. You're going after one of our sacred cows." Now I don't know whether the Clintons still have clout or not, because it's a mixed thing every time we do a story about them. But somebody got to her, because rape of Juanita Broderick shouldn't be tolerated then or now. Trying to rape and expose yourself to Paula Jones wasn't tolerated then, and it shouldn't be tolerated now. It got Bill Clinton impeached. His lying about it. What are they talking about? And she keeps talking about oversight and accountability, unsafe work environment in the military. And the interviewer presses her. He's like, "What do you mean? What are you trying to say? That Bill Clinton created an unsafe work environment?" Yes, she did. That's exactly what he did. But what's funny about it is she kept wanting to go back to the military and Title IX. Let me tell you what they're saying there, folks. They're talking about women in the military, and Title IX is girls and women in college, in sports and things like that. That's what they're talking about. It's all got to be equal and this, that, and the other. And you can't be, pulling this stuff on women. Again, I ask, what's the feminist movement been about if we're supposed to all be equal? Women work, they have great jobs, they can start their own companies, etc., and suddenly we're still the bad guys. You can't make me the bad guy when you've already got your equality. Women can do the same thing to men that men can do to women, and in fact, I don't know that we've heard about it, but you got to know there are women in power who are discriminating against men, and we hear nothing about it.
He won't stop until he's the top-rated radio talk show host in America.
What kind of weird competitive freak are you?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.